things are about to get extremely spicy when it comes to giving your money to Intel or AMD. Let's not beat around the bush. AMD have been absolutely destroying it with their Ryzen CPUs and of course the Threadripper CPU. I'm still an Intel man. I am still recording this video actually on an Intel machine simply because when I last upgraded my PC, an Intel 7th generation i7 seemed like a good idea. And it was a great idea. It's still running extremely quickly and will manage pretty much anything I throw at it at the moment, but it's getting about time to maybe put a bit of money where my mouth is and upgrade. One part of the upgrade process is which do you go for? Do you go for AMD or do you go for Intel? I don't know why they're on either side, but you know, you're one or the other, aren't you? It's binary. Since the release of the Zen 2 architecture that the AMD current line of processors are using, which came out originally, the first ones were, I think they were about summer 2019. So we've had about 12 months of them on the market, well, just over 12 months. AMD have been basing their processors on a 7 nanometer manufacturing process. Now, I could talk to you all day about this, but instead I'll put a link down there to the Wikipedia page. Now, to understand some of the terminology, you may need to do a bit more research, but the bottom line is the smaller the processor, as in the 7 nanometers, the more power efficient and also cooler a processor will run in theory. But that's not to say a 10 nanometer or a 14 nanometer processor can't outmatch a 7 nanometer processor. Like I say, not going to touch it too much because I don't really understand it enough and I don't want to just feed you a load of rubbish that makes no sense. Intel were supposed to be producing 7 nanometer processors, however they have not quite got there with the production of that, and they're now saying they're going to push it back to 2022 or 2023. And just bear in mind, some companies are already putting money behind 3 nanometer processors. See, in the mobile space where there's potentially a lot more mass production, this is better because the more power efficient and cool you can make a processor, the more you can, well, potentially cut down on the amount you spend on other components such as battery. If a processor uses less power, then it doesn't necessarily need as large a battery. You may have seen recently that Apple are dropping Intel as their primary manufacturer of processors, or well, I say manufacturer, more supplier for their hardware. Now, just to give a bit of perspective to that, Apple have actually been using 7 nanometer processors in their iPads and iPhones since 2018. If you're already sticking them in the other devices, why not just use them in everything? So, no 7 nanometers for Intel. Does that mean they're out of the game? Have I got news for you, my friend? No. Let's have a quick look at the Comet Lake processors. Blimey heck, I'm all little and in the corner. I feel like that political YouTuber Tim Pool, only without the hat. Anyway, Comet Lake S processors are the desktop version of the Comet Lake processors, which have been around since I think April 2019, which were Intel's latest generation of laptop processors. So Comet Lake is coming to desktops, or it's already here now. We're going to just have a quick look at the flagship processors. So we've got the flagship i5, i7, i9. You know the ones, the ones with the K on the end, or KF. So the thing about the Comet Lake S processors is they are still using the 14 nanometer manufacturing process, as we've just previously discussed. And what you'll see here is the fact that the TDP, which is pretty much the amount of electricity it's going to burn through without being at boost, usually, I think. I don't even know the report anymore, but never mind, I'm sure someone somewhere will have answered that question before me. As you can see though, they're running at about 125 watts, so these are the flagship processors. They're not the non-flagship. These are the premium ones where the price point really kind of shows. Something that's recently come to light is that now components for, well, most components, high-end graphics cards excluded until the next generation, components are cheap for PCs. It's a lot more accessible, the market, than it used to be. But what that's kind of highlighting now, with the advent of like high-spec mobile devices, the iPad Pro for example, what we're seeing is the power consumption is actually much more of an important thing compared to what it used to be. Processors have previously just been really power hungry for users that want the real top end stuff, but we're starting to see a big change there, and this for me is currently Intel's Achilles heel. These new processors are fantastic, really powerful, but use that much more electricity, and the thermals are so much hotter than what you get from an AMD processor, for example. I haven't got any real life examples here, but based on the principles of the 7nm versus 14nm manufacturing process, the 7nm are going to run at a lot lower temperature. So based on this, Intel really now are having to chase the market using lower prices, which is what we've seen here with these Comet Lake S, even the flagship processors. I mean, to get the flagship i9 for less than $500 now is not something we expected to see just a few years ago. But until they get the 7nm processor right, they're going to struggle, because we're going to be at a point where you can actually, when you look at the cost of a processor, see how much power it's going to consume. If you're using it for 6 to 7 hours a day, then potentially getting a lower powered processor could actually pay for the processor throughout the life cycle of the device, which is also better for the environment. So there we go. I realise it's been a long while since I've put together a video. I've just been taking a break, to be quite honest with you. I do work full time and I am a father to 2 children, so I don't always have loads and loads of spare time. But hopefully now I'll be doing a few more videos for you. I've got a few products on their way for review. So got a couple of tablets and a couple of mobile phones. We're starting to see some significant changes in those markets now, particularly tablets. Now the iPad Pro has shown the world that it can be pretty much a PC. Android devices are trying to play catch up, but more on that in another video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.